Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video, and merry second day of Boltmas. On the second day of Boltmas, my Bolt EV gave to me an alternative route for driving home. I don't know. So let me set the stage. This second video is one that I didn't publish, or at least I don't recall ever publishing. And I'll try to get this done while I still have light. We're having some rain come in. Hopefully the pitter patters sets the mood. But yeah, setting the stage, this was December of 2017. So I had the Bolt EV for almost a full year at this point in time. You could tell from the odometer, 40,000 miles, right? So, or almost just under 40,000 miles in the first year. I put a lot of driving in. And this was just a basic trip heading back home for the holidays. So it's time for another trip up north, but I'm expecting the drive to take at least 10 to 11 hours. I might have to contend with a holiday traffic, but as you can see, it's fairly warm in Southern California right now. It should be down into the 50s for, I would say, most of the trip. So I'm gonna go ahead and just clean off my windows and head out. Now that my original self's introduction is over, a little bit more setting the stage. So even in December of 2017 in California, there were no faster than 50 kilowatt chargers, public faster than 50 kilowatt chargers deployed, and there were no public fast chargers, at least not CCS public fast chargers, on Interstate 5 between Los Angeles and Sacramento. And so my sort of default route heading north at this point had evolved into using Highway 99 as my primary travel corridor. Well, we made it. As you can see, the temperature sort of dropped a little bit down to 50 degrees. Get to charging pretty soon, but yeah, just under 199 miles, and you know, we should be down to about 10% battery. Hopefully the next stop will be Gilroy, I think. Interesting. I haven't swiped my card yet. I wonder if this is like a free holiday promotion from EVgo. If so, that's very kind of you. Oh, sweet. So yeah, I didn't even swipe my card. Now, this does make me wonder if I want to just go ahead and grab dinner then, because I might be staying for about 45 minutes, long enough to get up to about 65% state of charge, I think, at a minimum. So yeah, we're already charging at 42 kilowatts, which is pretty standard. That's pretty standard for about 10% state of charge. So anyway, yeah, I don't think I'm going to wait too much longer. Then I'm just going to go in and maybe grab some dinner. So this first stop in Selma was pretty interesting. You'll probably tell from the DIC, you know, I came in pretty low, 9%, I believe it was. But that's after doing 198, 199 miles. It's a very long first leg, taking about 3 hours to go. So still averaging pretty decent driving speeds usually, but I could make it in a go. I found later on, especially if weather got a little bit bad, I couldn't always make this as my first leg after my battery started to degrade a little bit. But with the full 60 kilowatt hour pack at this point in time, it was possible to make that trip in one leg, leaving work basically 3 hours, and I got there just in time for dinner. And on this particular case, I kind of, you know, lucked out in the sense that there's some sort of glitch in the EVgo system, and it gave me a free charge. It sucks that I have to do this, but you know, with EVgo, their 30-minute cutoffs really do make it a little inconvenient. You know, I rushed out of dinner and just to come over. I actually think the car is still charging. Yeah, it looks like it's still charging. So Now it's 35 minutes in, so this means it's probably just going to continue. I need at least 130 miles of actual range, though, to get on to Gilmore, which is where I would like to be. Only because and that I'm gonna stop for just a few minutes to check out the chargers, because really what I want to do is head up into Fremont and check the EVgo chargers in Fremont. I want to see if the new prototype charger is actually up and running. There, I'll give myself a little bit of light. Maybe that's a little too much. All right, there's a little bit of holiday lighting mood. But one of the things that you'll hear me mention here is I was actually planning to charge up and head over to Gilroy, which is on Highway 101, and that's normally way outside of the direction that I would go, and it would have added about 2 hours to the trip for me to do this. But my reason for going over there is EVgo had installed one of the first 150 kilowatt chargers in North America, but what was unclear is whether it's something that someone else could use, right? So this was a super fast 150 kilowatt CCS charger that they had installed in Fremont, and I wanted to stop by and check. I had sent an email to see if I could gain access. I found out later that those chargers were restricted only to automakers, and in fact they actually locked the cable down. There's no way of activating them. They needed to have a representative on site even when the automaker was there using it. But one of the issues here is, of course, I had to still interrupt my dinner. As I recall, I think the waiter, I'd asked the waiter, because I might have just gotten my food or just started eating. So I was literally just walking out to the car. But it's a good 200 feet from the car, maybe 300 feet from the car to the restaurant entrance. So it's a bit of a jaunt over there. But I had to, just to confirm, because I don't want to be sitting there eating for another 10, 15, 20 minutes and have the car not be charging at all. So I did have to go out and check, but because it was a possible glitch in a free session, it turned out that it charged all the way through. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this session. I think I'm actually just changing my mind for right now. I'm still waiting to hear back from EVgo as to whether that fast charger in Fremont is active yet. No need to waste a few hours on what's already going to be a late night, and I've probably already wasted too much time. Like I said, just go ahead and drive on to Salida, north of Modesto, I think, and then I'll and then from there I'll head on to Galt. So I'll be stopping in both places anyway, but I definitely won't be stopping for more than up to 55% state of charge in Salida. So, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and end the charge. It's probably not a even number, up to 69%. So 55 minutes and 54 seconds for 38.41 kilowatt hours delivered. So just under, I think, or just right around a 40 kilowatt rate. And so this was the point where I kind of audibled, right? I decided, you know what, I'm already going to be getting home late, leaving for a 500-mile trip at a little after 3 p.m. You're going to get in late no matter what you're driving. I hadn't heard back from EVgo about that 150 kilowatt charger, and so it was going to be dark, it was going to be nighttime, it was a charger I wasn't really going to be able to film well, or I literally would have just been looking at it. And so I audibled, and I just defaulted back to my standard trip up Highway 99, which meant that my next stop at that point was going to be in Salida. We just arrived in Salida, so I'm going to go ahead and start the charge. We're down to low battery level again. Whatever, that's kind of what I planned. I wanted to be able to drive with the flow of traffic on 70-mile-an-hour freeway. And just to note, this is a gas station that's out of the way, but just off the freeway. And you know, I've mentioned this before, but I really love this stop just because of how convenient it is. Of course, people shouldn't be doing that. CCS seems to get no love at this particular charging location. Actually, that was about the only thing I was worried about, is not hearing a click. Well, I guess I didn't get a second activation for free. Oh well. We should be, again, down to about 10 to 15% state of charge. But yeah, I love this place, and there are a couple more EVgo chargers just a few miles back, but they're at a mall, and yeah, 13%. They're at a mall, and there are so many people there, I couldn't even see the chargers as I was driving by. So there's no reason to stop at a place like that. So anyway, here we are. I'm only going to probably stay up to 55%. Let's see. And yep, still pretty much like clockwork. Right away charging at 42, 43 kilowatts, even though it's at a 10, 13%. Now this Salida charging stop, I haven't actually checked on it recently in a plug share, but this was one of my favorite stops. Even then, I thought that it was undersized in the sense that they only had a single 50 kilowatt charger there. And in fact, you know, with my recent experiences with Electric Era, a place like that would be a perfect location for them to just put a bank of, you know, split power 200 kilowatt chargers, because it's just off the freeway, right on the side of a gas station. You're in a food court. Yeah, it's a super convenient stop. And in fact, that whole area there of Modesto was one of my favorite secondary stops as I was heading up Highway 99. And the reason for it is there was one 2-stall charger at the mall, and then there was 2 gas stations. This one in Salida, and there's one in Ceres. The one in Ceres is a little bit farther off, but it's 2 stalls at a gas station, full pull through. You know, but they're 50 kilowatt chargers. So EVgo, even at this point in time, was already placing their chargers at really good locations, and the format of the sites were allowing for a full pull through car. If the power was higher, there, you know, even today, these would still be valid charging stops. So the charge session just ended at about 30 minutes like it normally does, pretty close to 55%. I'm going to go check on the charger. Well, I guess it claims 50%, so 22.37 kilowatt hours in 30 minutes and 5 seconds. So, but I'm not going to restart a new session. The charger that I need to go to is yeah, and don't just leave these on the ground if you can. There you go. The charger that I need to go to get up to about 70% in order to make it home is 40 miles away. So I don't need to charge any more than this. No need wasting time. So I'm just gonna start up and head out. You know, now this is one of those cases where you'll see me sort of learn to stop worrying and embrace the 30-minute charging session. I had just gotten so accustomed to it at this point that, you know, I built my trips around the understanding that the EVgo chargers were going to be limited to 30 minutes. They were the best placed chargers. They were the fastest chargers available at this time. They were the cheapest chargers to use. They were the most reliable chargers to use. The biggest issue was, even in late 2017, they still had this sort of mandatory, arbitrary 30-minute charge session time. So I tried to kind of work my way around that, and leaving Salida anywhere in that Modesto area, it kind of worked out though, because I really only need about 50% battery from that point to make it into southern Sacramento. And in this case, my next stop was Galt. Well, we made it to Galt, just about 7 hours since we originally left. So we're still tracking a little over 50 miles an hour average trip speed. So it looks like the Selma will be the only free charge of the day, but we should actually still be relatively high. I guess probably around 25 to 30%. Yeah, so just under 30%. So the question is, how long do I stay here? Not a whole lot going on. Relatively quiet. Certainly not staying until 80%, or, well, I say that now, but the big issue is it's going to get colder. We still got a while to go, so already charging it. 43 kilowatt. Now, Galt was another one of my favorite stops. So I love this site. It's right next to O'Reilly's. There's a Baskin Robbins, just a ton of amenities. There's a coffee shop. The problem is Galt is kind of a sleepy town, and everything sort of closes somewhere around 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock at night. So nothing was open, and even the gas station that's right near the chargers over there, they don't really have any amenities, right? So the funny thing is, when I have come in and had to like use the bathroom or whatever, about the only place that was actually open with any sort of services is the Walmart that was across the street in the other shopping plaza. So I'd actually have to walk over there on occasion. This case, that wasn't the case, but I just found it kind of funny that that's one of the only places that's open. But again, great location. Pull through stalls just off the freeway. 250 kilowatt chargers. The only issue with them is, yeah, they're 50 kilowatt chargers. The charge session just ended. I actually think I might try to restart it again, only because at least for another 5 or 10 minutes it was still charging at 38 kilowatts. So, and it's at 66 now. So yeah, we had 23 kilowatt hours delivered in 31.18. So I might want to go ahead and just start a new session and just let it run for a bit, because again, it's going to be in the 40s. I have an elevation increase, high-speed driving. It'll be down into the 30s by the time I get up there, so probably another 5 to 10 minutes. And so this is one of the sessions, though, there in Galt, and this is why it was kind of awkward. And I actually started using chargers farther up into like southern Sacramento or even northern Sacramento in the future and under future trips, because what would happen is I would end up kind of being priced into charging up to 70, 75, 80% in Galt. And even then, when the weather was bad and the conditions were bad, I'd still need to find another charger after that in order to make it home, you know, it just with any sort of reasonable buffer in the battery. I'm down to only charging at 24 kilowatts, but more importantly, I wanted to get a few more minutes in charging because of I have 120 miles to go, and it's going to be, like I said, down probably into the 30s by the time I get near the end of my destination, and I have an elevation increase. So it looks like I'm not too far short of 80%. So I'm just going to go ahead and end the charge now. Should have been another about 10 minutes. Yeah, so it says I'm at 74%, so that's fine. So yeah, 9 minutes, 30 seconds, and just under 5 kilowatt hours delivered, 4.94 kilowatt hours. So, all right, well, and I can actually feel it getting a bit colder. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and if I can make it in the time that my map indicates, it means I'll have made this trip in about 9 hours and 30 minutes to 9 hours and 40 minutes, which is pretty fast for an almost 500-mile trip. So, and so here I did the 30-minute session wasn't enough. I actually started it up again, did another 10 minutes, just added another 4 or 5 kilowatt hours, and that was enough for me to feel confident getting home. Again, remember, at this point in time, once you got north of Sacramento, there were no public fast chargers. The only public DC chargers at all were 24 kilowatt, and they were very few and far between. So literally after Sacramento, I had one public charging location available to me on my way home. So making sure that I had enough energy leaving Galt was important. And like I said, just for convenience sake, that's why I started in the future charging in Sacramento when possible. We made it in just under 9 hours and 40 minutes. So, I mean, that's I guess a decent trip speed for this, pretty close to 50-mile-an-hour average trip speed. And as you can see, yeah, the temperatures did drop a little bit. I mean, that's kind of what I anticipated. Plus, there was about a 1,500-foot elevation increase. That's basically what's to be expected toward the end. That's why I didn't want to leave with less than a 75%. We're basically low now. So I can go ahead and plug in and let the little Bolty recharge overnight. And I arrived home, and for some reason, I seem to have recalled it being closer to 500 miles. But now, what they say about the strongest memory is, worse than the weakest video recorded HD image. But yeah, it was only about 480 miles, and I can't remember if there's a particular thing about a shortcut maybe I took to go that route. Maybe I took a back way over the hills before heading up to Selma. But anyway, I arrived with, traveling a little less than 500 miles. It was a total of 9 hours and 40 minutes. And again, I arrived low, even with 75% battery, and that's because it was down into the high 30s, probably dipped even lower than that on the drive in, and then about a 1,500-foot elevation increase. So all of those cards sort of stacked against me. You could see the efficiency drop down from where I was hovering around 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour down to about 3.5. But that 9 hours and 40 minutes is a kind of an important number, because I was basically blasted and called a liar by a number of people who all drove a certain brand of EV at the time. When I said that I could maintain a 50-mile-an-hour average trip speed in the Bolt EV, even using 50 kilowatt chargers, which I could, and as was demonstrated in this trip, right? The conditions didn't have to be ideal. They needed to not be terrible, right? But yeah, even with those 50 kilowatt chargers, ideal spacing, decently fast freeways, you're averaging close to 50 miles an hour in the Bolt EV. What's really interesting about this, though, is knowing the numbers. As faster chargers became available, each one of those charging stops of mine would have taken about 10 minutes less time. And if you take 30 minutes away from 9 hours and 40 minutes, now you're going quite a bit faster, right? You're going well over 50 miles an hour. And that's what I was saying is the Bolt EV, with properly fast roads, not having to deal with traffic, reasonably spaced chargers that max out the Bolt EV's charging profile, you can, I think I did a theoretical calculation on this at one point in time, and I figured I could maintain somewhere between 53 and maybe 54 miles an hour average trip speed, including charging stops, which again, even today, I'm told that I'm fibbing. So it's nice that I was able to go back in time 7 years and pull out an example of my fibbery. On that disappointing, grinchy note of the second day of Boltmas, that's pretty much all I have. Let me know what you thought about this video. Were you traveling in an EV 7 years ago? Did you take Highway 99 between Southern and Northern California because that's all you had available to you? Yeah, well, let me know which other sorts of videos that you would like to see in this series. I know some people mentioned some of my collaborations maybe to talk about, but like I said, I really want to try to focus on the ones that I never published, because I think there's some gems in there that can help kind of frame where we are now with the EV charging infrastructure, with the capabilities of EVs. You know, as I was reviewing this video, as well as my Bolt EV did relative to what people believe it's capable of, I do understand the people who say that, hey, look, if you tell me that I have to charge for an hour and a half to, you know, or 2 hours to go 500 miles, that's a deal breaker for me. I get it, right? But just understand we have EVs now that could do that trip with 30 minutes of charging total, right? So yeah, I think we're at a place now where you're literally driving 8 to 9 hours, and the car only needs to be off the road for maybe 30 minutes. That's big. So on that note, merry second day of Boltmas. I hope the holidays are treating everyone well. Try to stay dry and warm. I'll attempt to. Thank you for watching.